Hello, and welcome back to Poverty PVMer, the series where I'm locked to a budget based on total level and combat achievement tier. The goal is to complete the master combat achievements and kill every boss in the game. Last time, we focused on completing every Chambers of Xeric combat achievement we could realistically do. In most of them, this involved abusing the fact that Chambers CAs don't often care if you die while doing them. This time, we'll start by This time, we'll start by struggling through the Haunted Mine quest for the Salve Amulet, which really can only lead to one place.
Welcome to the Theater of Blood. We've got 9547 GP of value in this setup. 100 bolts, 200 casts of Wind Strike, couldn't really afford the staff for auto casts. We've got the Scimitar, purely for slash bonus, and the rest is what you've seen. Didn't bother with the Arty Cape because it doesn't boost slash. Just gonna camp the accumulator. Now, one obviously missing thing is supplies. So, let's get supplies. Oh dear, you are dead. That is 3 bandages. Okay, interesting. You can't destroy them. Let's find out if you can get more than 3. Come on, give me 3 more. Okay, well, it's cheesy, but this is how we're getting our supplies for the theater. So I'll see you many deaths later. Okay, here we are. Many bandages later. Gonna pop one because it's a super combat and head in. The main goal for Maiden is 1, to kill it, but also to make sure that no blood spawn lives longer than 10 seconds. If we pass those, we get the combat achievement. Pretty big heal, kind of spooky. But we have an inventory full of sharks that are also prayer pots and super combats and staminas. If you're ever afraid of a night at the theater, don't. Come on, please. Oh, bad RNG. That's fine. The main goal is to kill Maiden. We'll be back for that combat achievement later. That is Maiden dead. No combat achievements, but we have made it to Bloat, and that is what matters. Hardest combat achievements in the game. Enter from the wrong side. Joking, obviously. It's incredibly easy. But the real one that Bloat has is kill the boss wearing a salve, which is why we struggled through Haunted Mine. So, there's 4 points. Let's get 4 more.
Throughout these TOB CAs, I was pretty focused and didn't do a ton of in-the-moment commentary, so expect to hear a lot of voiceover explanations in this video. There's not a whole lot to say about this boss. The biggest struggle caused by being on a budget is just my low DPS. The fight lasts for a really long time, requiring me to avoid getting flied for a while. The only real danger would be running out of run energy, and that's just not a problem because the bandages are just staminas. Overall, pretty straightforward fight.
is Bloat down for a second combat achievement. Appropriate tools, killing him with a salve. Obviously I don't have a crystal halberd, so we won't be getting that one. And I got confused and left the wrong way. Off to Nylo. Welcome to Nylo's. This room is incredibly simple. The only combat achievement involves Ice Barrage, and I don't have Ice Barrage. We need to live. Also, it looks like my budget has changed. I don't think I want to count that, because my budget was fine going in and I haven't gotten anything new, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. After this room though, I'll drop the runes to make it look better.
My main focus for the Nylo waves was keeping my pillars alive. I thought that with all the bandages that I'd have basically infinite health and prayer, so it was all about not getting instantly killed by the pillars. I learned pretty quickly that while Wind Strike is useful for when I don't have other options, it's definitely my least accurate and slowest option. I kind of expected this from past low-level entry mode TOBs I've done, and I wasn't too worried. I focused mostly on the gray and the green Nylos, and only really hit blues when there was nothing else. In the end, it went pretty much as expected. Ended with all 4 pillars, and it was completely fine.
Alright, well, we lived.
The boss, on the other hand, was a completely different story. I went into Nylo's expecting the waves to be the problem, but I had forgotten just how dangerous the boss can be with lower defense and low DPS. The melee form always hit zeros, but the range and mage both hit through prayer, and in a long fight, that damage adds up. By the end, I had to resort to stepping under it during its range and mage phases, meaning that the only limiting factor would be prayer to survive the melee phase. I ended up with just barely enough supplies to kill it, but I wish that I knew that it would be this difficult going into it.
Okay, that was more stressful than I expected. I forgot that he would do a ton of chip damage. That is, Nylo's done. And here's Sote, another boss where the entire point is just to live. He has no combat achievements that can be done solo.
Sote, unlike the Nylo boss, was completely uninteresting. While the Nylo boss constantly chipped me through prayer, Sote does nearly 0 chip damage. Every time he fires a mage or range orb, it's gonna hit a 0. The melee will chip, but not for very much, and it doesn't hit very often. The death ball in a solo only does 15 damage, so with a full inventory of bandages, this is completely fine. I chose to stay in melee range the whole time, flicking on pray melee when its attack came up, and only swapping to mage or range when an orb was on my way. Really, nothing too much to say about this boss.
That is Sote complete. Next up is Xarpus, and for this one, I can't have my damage reflected in the final phase. Otherwise, nothing special. And this one, I'm not going to bother dying at the start of it, because actually dying takes forever. So I'm just going to try to game on my first attempt.
Now, going into this run, Xarpus was definitely a boss that I was afraid of. It's one of the few real DPS checks in the Theater of Blood. I wanted to melee it the entire time to maximize damage, but knew that eventually I was gonna run out of space. I was ready to equip the bone crossbow if I ran out, but surprisingly, the boss just kind of melted. I expected this to be way harder than it was, but it was pretty easy. The boss just kinda died. I don't think I'm gonna get so lucky at Verzik though.
That is Xarpus completed. Don't look at me, combat task done. Onward to Verzik. Okay, for Verzik, I've decided to drop everything. for extra space because I fucked up. As always, I always forget this. You need a poison weapon for phase 2. So we'll see how this goes. We need to do phase 1 without losing a pillar. Oops. 1. Glad this isn't perfect theater. Okay, here is the hard part. I am an idiot. Let me reset that. Holy shit, if your inventory is too full, you can death pile bandages? If I absolutely need to, sure. And I am not respecting this boss even a little bit, which is a problem. I really need to. Let me go grab some of that death pile real quick. Okay, they don't stay forever. Good to know. Alright, let's do this. We just have to out DPS the healer. And never get bounced. And of course the lightning balls. I tried bringing insulated boots, but I don't have 37 Slayer, and I didn't feel like getting it. The bright side is she's never going to summon Nylos again. The not so bright side is this is going to take forever. Potentially literally. I don't know if I can actually have TPS this. Signs are pointing to no. Yeah, I think this is a no-go, unfortunately. I don't really see a way of completing this. So I'm gonna grab these items, and I suppose we'll be back eventually. Maybe even soon. I know where I can get a poison weapon, I've done it before. Okay, that didn't take too long. That's good. Only another 30 pickpockets, so we are very lucky on this item. Let's get out of a high-risk world and bank this. Okay, we're back. About 50 bolts, 23 wind strikes. It's less than last time, but we only used 50 wind strikes last time, and less than 50 bolts. And we definitely didn't need to wind strike the boss of Nylo. So I'm gonna get a bunch of bandages again, and then let's do it. Okay, here goes attempt number 2 at not letting the blood spawns live.
My second attempt at Maiden went way better than the first one now that I was warmed up. Turns out, actually doing the mechanics properly makes it easier. Who knew? My initial attempt, I got hit by a fair amount of blood, causing a ton of blood spawns to appear throughout the fight. I was able to deal with most of them, but eventually I just lost the DPS race. Way simpler to just never run into that issue at all and not spawn blood even once.
Okay, that's Maiden. A single blood spawn even appeared. And so none of them lived more than 10 seconds. That is anticoagulant stun. I mean, unless something interesting happens, I'll see you at Verzik.
And unfortunately, I didn't record the rest of this run leading up to Verzik. I wish I had though, because in the moment I was at Nylo, I realized that I could approach it a little differently. Basically, I just used the same technique I used in Mutadile with red Xing between a few different items. I dropped a couple and just walked between them for range and mage phases, making the boss extremely consistent and 0 damage taken. But with that out of the way, onward to Verzik, round 2.
Okay, we're back. Got a poison weapon. Just gonna pick it up to make sure. But we should be good. Let's do this. Grab this last bandage, and then do this thing. This should be good.
One big thing that helped with P2 Verzik was that killing the purple crab actually does a fairly significant poison hit splat to the boss. I wasn't really expecting that. I was just thinking that the poison would stop it from healing and then I'd have to do all the damage, but it was a pleasant surprise and made P2 way faster than I thought it would be originally.
Okay, no more poisoning. Have to never get bounced. Okay. That's the combat achievement. Let's get the rest.
Out of all of the bosses here, P3 Verzik is what surprised me the most. I remembered her being pretty significantly nerfed in entry mode, with her melees not really hitting high, not being very accurate, and the mechanics just not being very lethal. This turned out to be dead wrong at low stats and gear. The biggest issue in this run was the bandages. It's really, really nice to have free sharks, prayer potions, super combats, staminas, but it's significantly less nice that each one is only one dose. And in an endurance fight, you gotta maximize this. So if you use one for just HP, that's one dose that doesn't go to prayer, and vice versa. So throughout this fight, I burned through bandages to restore prayer and wasn't really thinking carefully about my HP. This meant that by the time the purple tornado spawned, I was completely out of supplies. It still felt possible, even turning my scimitar into a 5-tick weapon by pog tanking, but it wasn't quite enough to finish her off.
No! Okay, it's doable. I just need to make fewer mistakes. Flick prayers better. I will get this done. Okay, round 2. First time, I used a lot of prayer and used a lot of the bandages on prayer. And that's part of why I ran out. Part of it is because I made a lot of mistakes, but prayer at least we can handle. Alright, we are not going to use offensive prayers at this part. We'll use them until 1 prayer restoration level, because the zaps do actual chip damage. Alright, now we're going to use offensive prayers because she's draining us anyway. Probably flick though, just a little bit. Or, you know, fuck up.
The next attempt, I learned from my mistakes and I was laser focused on prayer. I was trying to 1-tick flick as much as I reasonably could throughout P2, and also to flick my prayers on last second in P3. I think this ended up doing more harm than good though. Doing Verzik like this is just not something I'm used to at all, so I was preserving prayer, but I was losing significantly more health due to missed prayers or natural chip or just losing DPS, failing mechanics, any of that. So this one did not end much better than the first.
Oh. Oh my god, I did like no damage at the end there. It's really not prayer, it's just a DPS race, or it's a combination. It's hard, man.
After both of those tries, I realized that in both of them I got Verzik to extremely low health, and I had made mistakes throughout the fight. So really the answer was to just lock in. I had the damage, I just needed to not make too many mistakes. get meleeed, not eat too many Nylo explosions to the face, and here's the next attempt of trying to do that as best as I could.
Oh my god, please. Yes, 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 yes. Oh. Okay, that was way harder than I expected. You'll ever see a 86 minute, 36 second top entry PB? Because I haven't until now. I'm mad that I didn't record until Enrage. I forgot to hit the button, but that's fine. Grab our collection log. Cool. Start all. See ya. And just for fun, here is the board. 7 deaths. That is a lie. Yeah, there were 37 total deaths. There's no shot 7 of those were me. I guess it only counts at most once per room. Does that make sense? Well, I don't know. I don't really care. Point is, it worked. We got it. And with that, there are only 9 points left. And we left a lot of easy tasks in our wake.
But that's where I'm going to finish this episode. Next time, we'll be completing the medium tier with one of my favorite pieces of content in the game. I'll see you then.